Oh man, I know we're running like a minute late here, and I have to apologize to everybody. But I'll give you guys a little inside baseball here while we get the show up and running. There is a waterfall. maybe if you listen carefully, turn up the sound. Yeah, you'll be able to hear it in the background. There's a waterfall happening in my kitchen. There's just water streaming down the wall, and hopefully. Hopefully that gets fixed before the end of the show, and hopefully no one has to come into my apartment because my apartment's messy. It's always the reason to keep your place clean, right, Wes? In case of emergency.
Yeah, tell my wife that. But I'm curious. Brian. Have you tried yet to walk into the waterfall? I hear that there's typically secret areas when you do that.
There's always some kind of collectible behind a waterfall, for sure. I've not because it's just the wall, unfortunately. I did, however, run out of towels, and so now I'm using my old green screen from the Why We Live days. It's just shoved up against the wall. Everything in my apartment is wet. That's it. So you're
becoming a greenish brown screen now.
It's gonna be a fucking pile in the trash can screen pretty soon, man. Your long shadow says, "Jesus, Brian, go fix it." It's I'm living in an apartment, man. Like this is I just have to wait for the maintenance guy to do his thing. So fingers crossed. But in the meantime, let's all distract ourselves with a fun time. What do you think, Wes? Should we start the show?
I think we probably should.
Nice, let's do it. This is PSVR GAMESCAST Live, where we film live every single Monday, Wes-nesday, and Two Wives Friday. There's too many running jokes, man, to keep track of them all. Right here on PSVR Without Parole, 6 p.m. Eastern, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We do it live for your pleasure, and I'm not going to lie, it's pleasurable to me, too. But if you don't like watching it live, don't forget you can always check it out later with Sci-Fi GameCat Henry's timestamps, or listen to it on podcast services of your choice. Which ones? The ones of your choice. I would list them, but I've never heard of most of them. So go check them out if you don't want to watch us. And I can understand that. We're pretty, but we ain't that pretty. My name is Parole from this channel right here, PSVR Without Parole, and this gentleman over here to my right is Wes Dillon from Virtual Strangers. Wes, how are you doing this fine, wet afternoon?
Great, man. It's Wednesday this week, isn't it?
That's what we needed.
No, I'm doing great, man. Every Wednesday or Wes-nesday is like Thanksgiving to me, man, because I love it. From the time I wake up to the time I go to bed, it's all VR all day long. I'm playing games. I'm doing podcasts, playing more games, doing more podcasts. I absolutely love it, and I'm always just so grateful. You know, Wednesday's a good day to reflect on just how blessed my life is, because I absolutely love every minute of every Wednesday.
That's so good to hear, man. So thank you for spending some time with me. Also, we got to give a congratulations, man, to one of our loyal game cats out there. During my AMA on Saturday, loyal game cat Hasib Mirza, he and his wife had a baby. She went into labor right before my AMA. I checked in with them later. They had their very first child, a bouncing baby boy. So congratulations to Hasib and Mrs. Mirza, if that's the correct terminology I should be using. Very cool. Always happy to hear that the game cat families are expanding and that there are game kittens out there in the wild. Love it.
Absolutely. Congratulations. As a father, I can say it's truly the best thing in life. I'm even though I don't know these people who you're referring to, I'm very happy for them, and like you said, glad to see the community getting a little bit larger.
Yeah. Speaking of community, this has nothing to do with community, but that was the best segue I could think of. I don't know if you're paying attention to yesterday's In-Zone Sony hardware showcase. It was the show that AJ and I were talking about on Monday. They did exactly what Tom Henderson, now very respected leaker Tom Henderson, said that they would do, and they showed off a couple different displays and a few different headsets. Listen, it's okay. It's okay, guys. I can actually hear that the water has stopped, and so I appreciate everybody's concern in the chat. Like your long shadows with the 50 Nokia cell phones. She says, "I can't relax and enjoy the stream until you try to shut off the water." I kid you not. This has happened before. I have no controls in my apartment, but the maintenance guy was on top of it. After when I called him, he already knew about it. So, Hakuna Matata. It means no worries for the rest of your days. But I love you guys so much. I think you guys are so much more concerned about me than the show, which is beautiful. But dude, Tom Henderson is killing it. It's we waited for Raytheon leaks to be true. We waited for what's the other guy's name? Robert Serrano. We waited for his stuff to be reliable, and so far they've been very unreliable. So I think it's we've given those people a lot of attention. Now it's time to give some attention to Tom Henderson, who is actually out there in saying shit, and it's literally word for word verbatim coming true within days of him saying it. So I guess we should probably be looking forward to some kind of God of War state of play soon.
Tom Henderson's been building up his resume for a little while now, and you're right, rock solid, this guy. And as far as the others go, I feel like the jury's still kind of out on Raytheon. The things he says have not been proven true or false at this point. Serrano, I think that guy just throws shit at the wall, sees what sticks, and he might get one thing right out of 20 things that he says. So I pay very little attention to that guy anymore.
Yeah, right. The things that Raytheon are saying, I don't think we're going to know if they're true for a while or not. He seems to be, and don't worry, Tornado's right here. She's totally safe, everybody. It's okay. Your long shadow's like, we don't care about you, Brian. We only care about Tornado, which is fair. I only care about Tornado as well. The things that Raytheon is saying are things like Sly Cooper, which could very well be a flat screen game and a PSVR2 game. And so, we just don't know until we hear something about that game. And if that game ends up being playable in first-person VR, as he was suggesting, then hey, man, like credit where credit's due. I will certainly go. Yeah, it took a little while for his reliability to be proven, but then there it is. So far, though, it seems like Robert Serrano and there's one dude there's one other person out there who's nailing stuff. And if Rypop's here, he can tell me who it is. It's like.
I mean, I follow Dust Golem for Resident Evil and Silent Hill stuff, but
he's good.
I really wouldn't know.
Yeah, I forget who the other person is. Kill Artist 1, the Dreamweaver Game Cat, with the $10 tip says water damage relief, LOL. Luckily, when you live in an apartment, really not my concern. Basically, if the wall that just gets soaked ends up getting rotted or whatever, that's their responsibility to take care of. So very, very, very nice. Ian Marsh says, you just wanted to see the maintenance guy again, didn't you, Brian? Listen, my maintenance guy's awesome, and I pay him with beer, which is like the coolest currency on the face of the planet. Like, he comes in and does like $1,000 jobs for me for like a 30-pack of Budweiser. And as you guys know, Budweiser, one of the cheaper brands out there. So for like $25, man, it's like I've got my very... Oh, I'm sorry. Did I just insult your beer?
No, you just surprised me because from what I hear, it's the king of beers.
Which one's the champagne of beers?
The champagne of beers is Miller High Life.
All right. I always drink whatever was cheapest. Pabst Blue Ribbon PBR. I drank Natty Ice, Natty Light, whatever was the cheapest, whatever I get my hands on. Dude, it didn't matter how it tasted, man. It was always about the effect. So eventually, we just said, why are we drinking beer? This is stupid. And it was buying $10 handles of vodka with Rubinoff, Taka. I mean, just the bottom of the barrel garbage. But man, when you've only got $10, you got to make $10 last.
Rolling Rock and Coors Light here for those keeping score at home.
Nice. Rolling Rock and Coors Light. All right. Rolling Rock's a very angry video game nerd thing to do, which I like. I'm a big fan of AVGN. Good stuff.
As am I.
Now let's try the game feeling with the $5 tip says, stay moist, Game Cats.
By the way, Jeff Grubb says the chat. Jeff Grubb.
Jeff Grubb is, I don't, you know what? Jeff Grubb was so reliable and then not reliable. And then, so I feel like he's had just as many hits as misses. And so, the Snitch, thank you, Spoofa Man. I had to scroll back a little bit. The Snitch is the other one, brand new, only posted a couple times, but 8 hours before, and I can't believe we're having a 10-minute conversation about leakers. But why not?
I mean, your wall's leaking, right?
It's very on brand today. Even my apartment is a leaker. The the snitch, 8 hours before the last date of play, posted every single thing that we would see perfectly. So you follow the snitch on Twitter. That person obviously knows something, because you don't just throw shit at the wall and see what sticks and get it that correct. So
very active too. Like he tweets out semi regularly, but the stuff he puts out's cryptic, so it's like a puzzle people have to try to figure out. But I mean, he's leaking God of War stuff recently, and he did something yesterday that I don't even understand what it means, but I'm sure I will in time.
hey, let's. I know people have asked before that when Tornado's hanging out to get rid of the logo here, because it blocks people's vision. There we go. Now you can see Tornado trying to see. Look at that. Look at what she's doing. Look at what she's doing. She's trying to get up. Oh God. Okay, she's going for the expensive video games. It's all over. It's all going to come crashing down any second. But anyway, there's Tornado. Hey man, so I don't know if you were paying attention to the channel, but I stayed up late last night finishing up my my sale video, which consisted of 3 different sales. I don't even remember the names of all 3 of those sales, but it doesn't matter because 50 games on sale. I basically did a quick review of each and every one of them, and then moments after I published it, this is so typical, man. Sony does this to me all the fucking time. I say they're doing it to me as if like they're aware of the situation and like purposefully doing it, but it feels very personal. They're like, how dare you leak our release window? How dare you release our, you leak our PSVR2 specs? You know what? We know this video took you 3 days, so we're just going to like throw a wrench in the works and start a new sale the second you're done with your sale video. It feels very personal to me. They dropped a new sale, the sci-fi sale, and there's actually 5 more? You've got the list over there. How many more games are on sale that were not listed in my video?
I would call it 6+. Okay. 6 titles. 6 titles that I saw are on sale, but there's also a Star Wars bundle, which includes Star Wars Squadrons for $30. You get Squadrons, you get Battlefront 2, and then another one of the Star Wars action adventure games. Also, there's a ton of Synth Riders DLC on sale. So Synth Riders itself, I didn't see as part of the sale, but there's a ton of DLC packs for like $1.50. Some good ones too, like the Muse, and we all know how awesome the Synth Riders soundtrack is. You can pick up a lot of that stuff on pretty good discount right now.
Is that it?
No. You want me to go down the list of everything on sale?
Oh, I mean, there's only a couple titles, man. It's like we can just blast through it real quick just to give an addendum to the sale video.
Sure. Yeah. Sure. Well, of course, a must-own title that most people do own, who have been part of PlayStation Plus for any amount of time. Wipeout Omega Collection, $8. Still, in my opinion, the very best racing game in all of VR. Although, a lot of people would argue with that. I really love Wipeout.
Wipeout's amazing, especially once the only downside, and I hate focusing on the downside, but it's a downside that leads to a good side, an upside, is that the comfort settings are so poorly labeled or so confusingly labeled that figuring out how to turn them all off and experiencing the game the way that you should really experience it is tough, right? Because you're by default you're sort of linked to the track, right? Like if and your ship sort of moves around you, and you as the player stays steady. But there's an option to turn that off, and so that you're connected to your ship instead. And so even when you're just sitting there waiting for the race to begin, and your ship is doing one of these things, like your vision is doing that too, and it feels so good if you have some good VR legs. Man, they knocked it out of the park. That was an amazing port.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've been in there, but as I recall, like there are certain settings that you even have to load into the race and then pause it and go into the settings menu from there to really get it the way you want it. You want to link the camera to the pilot. You want to, take away the blinders and as much of the HUD as you possibly can to get that fully immersive experience. But like Brian said, once you get it all dialed in, it's a profoundly immersive racing and experience, and it's very, very, very fast, which I love.
Definitely like roller coaster racing. I love it. What else we got,
great.
Wes?
We got both of the Doom titles, Doom 3 from Archaeact, which came out, I don't know, within the last couple of years. $10 for that one. All of these prices, by the way, are the non-plus pricing, so there should be some additional discount to at least a couple of these. Uh, anyway, $10 for Doom 3.
Love it. Love it. That game is.
Yeah.
I feel like that game doesn't really age well on the flat screen, but in VR, I'm like, this is. I don't care about the early 2000s game design stuff. Like I don't care that I'm just basically running from one end of the map to another looking for like a key card. It's fine, man. Like I just want to run around with my aim controller and shoot shit, and it's fun.
Well, that's the big plus. A lot of people who are multi-platform VR gamers say, "Well, why do I need Doom 3 on PlayStation? I can play it on Quest. I can play it on PC, modded, admittedly, but I mean, those mods have a lot of advantages to them. I mean, the Quest version even has B-haptic support for the haptics vest. But people say, why? Why on PlayStation VR? Well, you just said it, aim controller. There's no aim controller on those other platforms, and that alone is enough reason to pick this game up and play it on PlayStation, especially when it's $10.
Agreed. I mean, yeah, and we can't just talk about this without being like, yeah, it's a little blurry. Yeah, the world scaling is wrong, right? Everybody looks really small, but the enemies, like when the enemies don't feel any less intense because they're a little bit smaller than they probably should be. It's really the NPCs when you walk up to them, you're like, this doesn't seem quite right. And so it's a shame. It's a shame because it doesn't seem like it would be it would require a major patch, but it seems like Archaeact just wasn't allowed to go any further with it. That wasn't their decision, unfortunately.
And for what it's worth, apparently there are some unconventional fixes for that out there that I haven't tried. You got to stand on a certain spot and face true north on the third Monday of the. No, you have to go in and readjust your IPD setting. Is that right?
You do, yeah. You have to like blast out your IPD setting completely the opposite of whatever it's set at, and it's and I've heard it works. Multiple people have told me it works. AJ's tried it, I think. The developer of Distortion VR DMs me and was like, "I've tried this. It works." And I'm like, "Great." I'm sorry. I'm not going to do that. Like unless it's a slider on my headset, which luckily will be all set for next gen. I'm just not interested in going to my settings and fucking with what already works perfectly for me. I'm like, there's no reason for this. No other game makes you do this. Like, come on, guys, just fix it.
And let's be honest, it's not that big of a deal anyway. Like the scaling in this game is something that's actually pretty common with a lot of older Gen 1 VR games. It's just a little off, but it isn't something that breaks the immersion. Not for me anyway. Obviously, everyone's different and different things bother different people. But for me, right. It looked fine the way it shipped.
Yeah, it's fine. And plus, and now for $10, it's like, all right, like easy to overlook small issues when you haven't even spent that much money on it. Oh, damn it. This is okay. I take care of a couple tips real fast here. I'm going to start with the newest one we just got because it's on my mind, and I wanted to talk to Professor Lilith. So perfect timing, Professor Lilith, with the $5 tip. Says taking suggestions for the July 3rd Sunday multiplayer meetup. All right, guys. So if you don't know this already, every single Sunday, I believe it's 2 p.m. Eastern. Everybody on our Discord goes and plays some multiplayer games. We figure out the game ahead of time, and it's a great way to play games whose servers are completely dead. These games have just been sitting in your library. There's no way you're ever just going to randomly go online and get a game together. And how likely is it that you have like 8 friends with a PSVR1 headset that are all willing to play Sprint Vector with you at the same time? It's very unlikely. So that's why one of the many reasons you should join our Discord. Click the link in the description. It's totally free to join. And Professor Lilith, I want to make a recommendation. I was doing the sale video that I was making yesterday. Space Junkies is currently on sale for $5.
Oh, dude.
$5.
You read my mind.
Yep. And so that's my suggestion. Like, screw everything else that I was thinking. That's my suggestion.
Literally, I was waiting on you to finish saying whatever it was you were going to say.
Yep.
Because I've been thinking lately, and this might be a total pipe dream on my part, but between you and I and all of our friends within the content creation space and the VR media space, we do wield a little bit of influence. I would like to make an effort at some point, and I don't mean next week or, just whenever. I would like to make an effort to let's all make a run on Space Junkies, because that was a game before its time. If
Mhm.
there ever was a game that should be on the Oculus Quest platform with the cross platform play and everything else the game's known for, it's that game. And it's a shame that this game just lies dead at the back of in the back of everyone's catalog, and constantly on sale, and no one knows just how good and polished Space Junkies is. So I would like for all of us, if we could ever organize such a thing, just everybody promote Space Junkies one more time and see if we can kickstart it. See if we can bring it back to life a little bit. And if people start playing it, maybe they'll support it some more on next gen hardware. And maybe it's a pipe dream, like I said, but I'd like to give it a try.
Yeah. I mean, this is a game that launched with some major problems, right? It launched without move support, and that was insane to us. Like, it's a game about, flying around and shooting them. It's a 3v3 shooter. Now, when it launched, it wasn't even a 3v3 shooter. It, unlike the other platforms, is a 2v2 shooter. And we're like, man, we're getting like the short end of the stick, and they charged $40 for it. So there were so many things keeping it from being something that anybody wanted to pick up. But Ubisoft is kind of amazing, man. Like, they listened to everybody. They did the 3v3 thing. They added the move support. The move support feels great. They lowered the price, and now it's on sale for $5. So I'm like, I feel like at this point we reward developers who stick with their games and really, pushed it. Probably fully aware that it wasn't going to sell much more. They were like, well, let's at least do the right thing. And there's so many developers out there not doing the right thing right now because like maybe their game didn't sell as well as they wanted it to, that like you just you feel like you got to reward these people, and even if it's with the $5 asking price right now. So I definitely think we should spend some time playing Space Junkies. But again, it's up to you guys. The cats will vote on it in our Discord, and so make sure you click the link in the description, join the Discord, and you can also get your name on that little Patreon scroll down below. For the $3 tier, you can get your name on the scroll and access to voice chat in our Discord. Other than that, Discord's totally free. We don't charge you like a lot of other places do to join Discord. I know Virtual Strangers Discord's like $72 a month.
Right. Yeah.
Not
we're
true.
a highly exclusive club.
Yeah, not true.
On my side.
Virtual Strangers, also a great community. A lot of intermingling between the strangers and the cats. I love it, man. I love going over and watching you guys. Watching you guys play Demio last night, and like a third of everybody in the chat was a game cat. And I was like, fucking awesome, man. I love this. And plus, it was really fun watching you guys play Demio.
Yeah, more and more cats showing up every week, and I very much appreciate it. It's weird because I've been a member of your community for so long. It's cool to see things start to kind of merge over as one by one the cats come over to my side of things to see what's going on outside the PSVR bubble, right?
Yes, absolutely. Joey Bass 33 with a $2 tip says the snitch is the leaker. It's probably Tom Henderson. I mean, I don't know. Like this, if Tom Henderson wasn't already leaking stuff on his Tom Henderson account, I would totally be with you. But it seems a little different. But I could be wrong. Who knows? I don't know. Donatello the Scientist Game Cat with the $5 tip says, if you haven't already watched it, check out Brian Paul on Sacred Symbols. It is now open for everyone, and it is awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much, Josh. Yes, my guest appearance on Colin Moriarty's channel, Last Stand Media, is now available for everyone, not just his Patreon supporters. Like, it launched just really kind of a dream come true for me. I can't watch it because I know I was super nervous, but it was a lot of fun, and he's invited me back for a couple more shows. So yeah.
Yeah, it was an amazing episode that I've already watched almost twice now fully, just because I love the conversation. I love the subject matter. I love how you educate this PlayStation Pro on the finer points of the history of PSVR. It was a great conversation, and you have no reason to avoid it. It was a great episode. You should check it out for yourself.
All right. Well, maybe I will eventually, but not today. Thank you for the nice comments, though. Nice words, Wes. Waleed is now a game cat, specifically White Tiger with the Canadian $5 tip, says, hey guys, it would be a shame if PSVR2 had post-release issues such as motion sickness. By now, Sony should have invited you guys for playtesting. Well, Waleed, here's the thing. I'm under no NDAs from Sony. Sony has never reached out to me and said, "Hey, we want you to be involved in this or that, or promoting this, or hey, we want to send you a PSVR2 unit ahead of time so you can whatever." I mean, I know we're still really far away from all of that, but I don't really think that Sony cares what we're doing over here. And plus, I'm the guy that I'm the guy that leaked the Q1 2023 release window, like, 5 months ago. I'm sure they weren't happy about that. In fact, I know they weren't happy about that. I'm also the guy that leaked all of the specs long before anyone else did. I know they're not happy about that. And so, as much as I'd love to work with Sony and would respect any NDA they send my way, I just don't see that happening. But you guys know we do this all because we love PlayStation VR and because we love PlayStation. We love Sony. So it would be a shame if I sort of fell out of their good graces because I was, so passionate about what we're doing over here. I don't know. Wes, do you think we're going to have any motion sickness issues with PSVR 2, considering everything we've sort of heard about this?
I mean, there's always going to be issues for certain people. But no, I think that the real cure for motion sickness has always been right in front of us, and it's repeated use. Like when we started playing VR here, when I first got my PSVR headset, my wife my wife couldn't play for 5 minutes. She vomited every time. Like anything, like ocean descent, anything would make her deathly
really?
ill.
That's crazy.
But she immediately recognized how awesome it was, and she loved it in spite of the illness that it brought upon her. All it takes is a little bit of repetition. Most people can beat motion sickness within 1 to 2 weeks with daily use. And I don't mean hours every day. Just play it a little bit every day. Your brain adapts to it. Now, that's a double-edged sword because, as time goes on, the 3D depth doesn't come across quite as much as it used to. You get used to it, and that's not always a good thing. But if you're prone to motion sickness, it is a good thing. And now she's a pro, and she could take 2 months off now without playing any VR. But her brain has already flipped over. It's permanent now. She can pick it up whenever she wants, no illness. So I think as PSVR 2 becomes a thing, and games. AAA VR becomes a thing, and there are games out there that people want to play regularly, we're going to start to see this whole motion sickness thing fade away due to no other reason than people are just playing more often.
I think it's an excellent point for sure. But also, there's so many little things that go into making somebody motion sick, and obviously Sony more than anyone else has been concerned about that. They penalize developers so hard and don't let their games through certification if they drop frames or do this or do that or whatever. And so it's obviously a huge concern for them. And studies have shown that haptics in the headset it's going to be great for the rest of us who don't suffer from motion sickness because it's like, ooh, here's some added immersion. When you go under a waterfall in Horizon Call of the Mountain, you probably feel it as if you're walking in my kitchen on your head. It's going to be like super immersive. Like I won't know the difference if there's a leak in my apartment or not. But there's like little other things like subtle vibrations from wind or whatever that seemingly help people with motion sickness. If you're in an engine, if you're in a car and you rev the engine, and it's like you kind of have this like right from the motor. Like these are things that like help people. Maybe even like footsteps, like just anything that kind of convinces the brain that you're there. Studies have shown that this is extremely helpful when it comes to motion sickness. Not to mention higher refresh rates that you're gonna be able to hit with this thing, higher frame rates you're gonna be able to hit with this. All of these things work in tandem. And I hear, and I could be wrong about this. Maybe Wes, you're way smarter than I am, so I'm going to bow to you on this. Have you heard of whether eye tracking helps motion sickness?
I mean, I wouldn't think that it would help directly, but certainly, the most profound use of eye tracking is going to be with the dynamic foveated rendering. And the whole reason for the dynamic foveated rendering is to free up additional system resources so that you have higher frame rates. And frame rates are probably top on the list of ways to improve or I guess ways to keep people from getting sick. Not just having high frame rates, but having stable frame rates that aren't fluctuating. And certainly the eye tracking with the dynamic foveated rendering is going to allow much higher, much more stable frame rates. Now, beyond that, I mean, I know it's a small thing, but the field of view in this thing's supposed to be a little wider as well.
Yep.
And I got to imagine that that's going to have a bit of an effect too.
I would agree with you. And of course, please don't forget, for anyone out there who does suffer from motion sickness and is currently trying to get over it, Professor Lilith in the chat makes some great points. Don't forget to use all the things at our disposal currently that help you overcome motion sickness. A fan adds a ton of immersion and keeps you cool while you play, and generally helps people who are suffering from motion sickness. This is something I wasn't familiar. A mouthful of salt water. I've never heard this before. And then, of course, quitting before you get really sick. I've always heard chewing on ginger to settle your stomach, or sipping on ginger ale. Unfortunately, ginger ale, like, I don't think really has real ginger in it anymore. I think it's all like sugar and high fructose corn syrup. So, so if you chew on ginger, that's supposed to settle your stomach. So keep all these things in mind if you're trying to get over motion sickness, even in preparation for PSVR2. These are all things that'll help you get there before the big day.
Yeah, and I think that that's the most important. You touched on the most important piece of advice you could give someone suffering from motion sickness, and that is take breaks. Do not, under any circumstances, just try to push through. As soon as you feel the slightest bit of discomfort in your stomach, take a break. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Allow yourself to get back to baseline and then go back in. Now, the more you do that, the longer you're going to be able to go between breaks, and before you know it, you'll not have to take any breaks at all. But I think that's kind of the biggest no-no that everyone made when first picking up VR, is when you start to feel just a little weird, just saying, oh, it'll get better, but not changing anything else, continuing what you're doing, because it never gets better. You always end up feeling worse. And, getting sick in VR is kind of like getting food poisoning from your favorite food, right? Like you don't want to eat it again for a long time after you get food poisoning from your favorite food. Same thing stands with VR. You make yourself deathly ill from playing VR games. You're not going to want to pick that headset up for a very long time. So just take breaks and avoid that.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. There we are. All right. Man, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. We haven't even gotten to the main topics of the day. So, yes.
Really quick before we move on, I want to finish off the sale list
that
we were on before we got off on a tangent.
Okay.
Really quickly, Doom VFR 750, a must-own title in my opinion if you're a Doom fan. Love Doom VFR. Star Trek Bridge Crew, $10. A game that I still have never played.
What?
That a lot of people love. I've never played Bridge Crew.
That's kind of crazy.
Fan.
You're not a Star Trek fan?
No, not really. I'm a Star Wars guy. I'm not really a Star Trek.
See, not only am I a Star Trek fan, I'm kind of only a Next Generation fan. Like Voyager was fine, and some of the other ones have been fine, but like this has a Next Generation bridge on it, and so yeah, I absolutely love Bridge Crew. It's stressful. It's stressful because like you really got to know your role, and so if you're the first time player, it can be a little daunting to get into. But that's another one that I just feel like you should have in your collection in case people want to play.
And I do.
$10, right?
I have it in my all of my libraries, like PC, Quest, PlayStation. Have it in all of them. Never booted at one time.
Wow.
So, moving on, Time Carnage, $9. A kind of meh. Wave shooter. I don't know, $9 seems a little high for that one. And Neon Wall, which is another one I haven't played, but I am familiar with. I think that overall people were like, it's okay. So I would say probably worth $3, correct?
No. I don't. I mean, Neon Wall is one of these games that's like, yeah, I get that, it's easier to play with move controllers, but at the same, and so, you kind of wonder like, why is this game in VR? And I think the only reason is because it's easier to play with move controllers. So just kind of like boom, 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 boom to move this ball through the puzzle and moving walls as you go. I didn't think it was fun at all, and I've never thought it was fun. So that is for me, that's like, even if it was $1, I'd be like, yeah, still pass.
Yeah, AJ in the chat says pass on both. So there you have it. I haven't played Neon Wall. My memory of it though is just from reviews when it came out, and I seem to remember there were some favorable ones. Nobody raving, of course, but I guess it must have been Polish Paul or somebody who said it was good.
I'm hoping you seem a little choppy over there, Wes. We can still hear you fine, but you are down to about 10 frames a second occasionally. Very max headroom, but hopefully that clears up in just sooner rather than later. All right, man. Is that all the games on sale?
That is it. That's all the games on the sci-fi sale, right?
Yeah. Definitely check out my video that I posted earlier. Those things, they take a ton of time and a lot of work, mostly because I'm typing in. It's like a data entry job. I'm just typing in sales or sale prices and retail prices of PSVR games in 5 different regions. So it's very time consuming. And so hopefully you guys will watch it and make it worth my time. Because if nobody watches them, then like, what's the point? But if you guys watch them, then awesome.
Well, I'll tell you this. This particular sale video was very timely for me, as there's this guy I work with who's a newer member of our community over on Virtual Strangers now. I got this guy in the VR about 3 months ago or so. He picked up a Quest 2 and, had that same amazing experience that we all had. Mm-hmm. Anyway, he's a lifer now. Like, he's all about VR 24/7. Recently, the guy through our Discord was able to secure a PS5 about a month ago. So now he has his PS5. He's ready for PSVR2. But this past week, he had the opportunity to pick up a PSVR 1 used, complete set, move controllers, aim controller, everything you'd want, $200. So I advised him to do so. And I was facing having to go through the sale one by one and pick out, some titles, the must-owns, right? Tell him what to start his catalog on. Now I don't have to do that anymore because you broke the whole thing down in a short video. So thank you. Very, very, very timely, saving me a little research.
What I'm really doing is just cannibalizing my own channel, because people normally would be looking up individual reviews, and then people, because I always know when a game's on sale because it's like the first time it gets a comment in 3 years or something like that. But like convenience is super important, I think. Wes, I think we got to move on, man. We got to move. We would move on, but let's first give a shout out to Dead Ringer with the $5 tip. It says Space Junkies is free with PlayStation Plus Premium. It's also Little Ringer Jr.'s birthday on Sunday. Happy Wes-day. There's a lot to unpack there, Dead Ringer. Definitely good to know. There's a lot of there's not a lot. There's some good PSVR games that are included with the new Plus tiers. So always keep an eye out before. It tells you, right? When you're on the store, it says, "Oh, you can get this with your membership for free." But keep an eye out for that kind of stuff. Everyone download Space Junkies as soon as possible, one way or another, and then we'll get some games going soon. Also, happy early birthday, Little Ringer. That's a Game Kitten squeal. Nice. And of course, super cool video, bro, with the $2 tip says, I appreciate the sale videos. I always watch for pickups. Excellent. Thank you very much. We appreciate you. Wes, we have to move on. We still have 2 of the biggest topics left, and we're about 2/3 of the way through the show already. So let's do this thing, man. Let's go over and check out a new game that has been announced for PlayStation VR2 called Black Trail VR by Red Horizon. Let's just do it up, man. Watch this trailer, and then we can talk about it after that. All right?
Absolutely.
At the end of the world, there'll be 2 things: cockroaches and bounty hunters. We survive by any means.
white men didn't think one native was enough for them. Their disrespect was their downfall.
All right. Well, to no one's real surprise, as Markio pointed out in the chat, it looks kind of like a quest game for a PSVR2 game. That's because you nailed it. It's certainly coming to Quest first if it's coming summer 2022. It means coming soon to other platforms, and then eventually for PSVR2. And it will be really interesting, as far as I'm concerned, to see how much developers like this step up their game and say, hey, we brought this game to Quest, we brought this game to Steam or whatever, but here the PSVR2 version is going to kind of blow those versions out of the water. We've really pushed the graphics as far as we can. It is a small studio, but I don't know. What do you think? This has been on your radar, Wes, longer than it's been on mine. It was on my radar starting today, but you said you've been kind of keeping an eye on this for a bit, right?
Yeah, well, it keeps showing up in my Twitter feed, and I make note of it because we don't really have that definitive Western adventure in VR yet.
Did you say Western?
Western. Oh, there you go.
Western.
No, I mean the best thing we have right now is on PC you can play Red Dead 2, in a limited fashion. Obviously, it's a flat game with gamepad controls. But people rave about how awesome it is to kind of be back in the 1800s in VR, and I've always kind of wanted to do it. But right now, I kind of feel like Hop Along the Badlands is probably the best Western-themed game that we have in VR.
Don't say that with scorn in your voice. Hop Along the Badlands is a hidden gem on the PSVR. No, I know it's a stick horse game. But yeah, no, right. Where's Red Dead Redemption, man? I'd fucking take Red Dead Revolver at this point. Jesus.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But as far as this game goes, I don't think it looks bad. I mean, it looks all right. I'm happy to see that this is apparently a story-driven adventure game, which is obviously the preferred genre for you and me. The real hook with the game is that you don't play the same character all the way through. There's actually warring factions, and you switch from side to side depending on what chapter of the game you're in, which I'm not sure how I feel about that yet. We'll just have to wait and see how that pans out.
Agreed. Yeah, so we don't need to go super deep into this game. We've got much bigger topics ahead of us. But I do want to say again, it's a small team, so we got to make sure we keep our expectations in check. But what this reminds me of, and I don't know if anybody else got the same feeling, but this reminds me of kind of like Shadow Legend, the Western game, right? So it's like, hey, we tried to make this as VRAF as possible, and we gave you a lot of weapons, and we gave you a lot of like things to interact with, and let's see how this goes. And that's sort of the feeling I've got from it so far, and that's, I don't think, a bad thing. Like Shadow Legend, I had a absolute blast with. Wasn't quite the Skyrim clone that the trailers made it look to be, but it was absolutely fantastic for what it was. So hard to disagree with that.
You can feed the horse, Brian.
That's all I care about. You can feed the horse. You can flip a steak on the on a pan over a campfire, and you can play with the dog. And I mean, if there was a cat on my shoulder the whole time, it'd be pretty much the only way that game could have been more Brian Paul. No, I'm just kidding. That game has certainly had problems, but it was a blast to play through.
Well, I'm down. I'm down for Western Shadow Legends. Sign me up.
Western. Sorry. I won't do it again. So, of course, the biggest news of the day is a developer out there who shall not be named, only out of respect. I think everybody knows who we're talking about. Tweeted today a picture of their PSVR2, which looked like it came fresh out of the box. It was sitting on a leather chair, and everybody's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa! We don't think you're supposed to do that." I think it was Danny from Cloudhead Games was like, you might want to double check your NDA. And then within a few minutes, that tweet was taken down, and we of course. Photographed it, screen grabbed it in high resolution to make sure that we could talk about it today on the show. So again, if we were under an NDA from Sony, we would absolutely not be doing this, but hey, why the fuck not, right? What's sorry,
it's our first it's our first real look at this thing out in the wild. So it's nice to be able to kind of get that tangible evidence that it's happening, right? Well, of course we know it's happening. There's been announcements and press releases and you know the stuff we cover day to day here. It's nice to have real tangible proof that it's out there. It's really happening. Everyone calm down. It's coming.
I somehow, instead of bringing up the picture, I just duplicated the PSVR GamesCast live logo. Was not my intention. Let's let me figure this out 1 second here. Let's get this picture up on the screen. I think everybody saw it in the thumbnail already, but obviously we want to bring this up and talk about it in as much detail as possible. Shout out, by the way, to PJV3 over there on Reset Era, who said PSVR without parole will have 30 minutes of content just on that photo. I mean, I think PJ knows what's up, man. PJ knows how we roll over here, because fuck yeah, we are.
Absolutely. Right? And I could say right off the top here, that vent on the top of the visor, it's just revolutionary.
You mean the hole?
I'm just kidding. Yeah, the hole.
Yeah, here we go. Let's get this thing up. There it is. That's the thing we were looking for. Yeah, man, this is here, you know what? Let's make this work a little bit better on our screen. That's somewhat better. There we go. So yeah, kind of crazy, right? Because this is not the headset that developers were being sent 6 months ago. The quote unquote dev kit that developers were getting 6 months ago was similar, but it was all black. And it did not have the plastic front on that like this one does. This looks to be a retail unit. The front of the ones that were being sent out prior to this had a metallic front on them instead of the white plastic front, and it was very geometric. Like it wasn't rounded. It was sort of like these sharp angles. Looked kind of straight out of like what the 80s thought a VR headset would look like. And so to me, and I don't know what you think, Wes, this looks like a retail unit, right?
Oh, this absolutely 100% is a retail unit. This past week on Virtual Strangers, I did kind of a state of the VR in 2022 thing, and a lot of the information that I used to put that together was, supply chain analysis. Cold hard numbers, and it's pretty evident now that this thing is in full production. They're expected to ship 1.5 million units by the end of the year. So when it launches early next year, there should be around 2 million to go around before we go on back order. But yeah, I think that a lot of the smaller developers that didn't get an early dev kit are now going to start getting them in droves because these things are rolling off the Gore-Tex assembly lines now.
That's very true. It's very true. Yeah, this is, I mean, I can't, there's always a possibility that there's going to be yet another revision, but I mean, I don't understand. I don't see that being the case. I think this is what we're going to open our retail unit boxes and pull this exact thing out. And the first thing that comes to mind when I look at this is being able to sort of finally, for the first time, put in perspective the size of those Sense controllers next to the VR headset itself. I think there was a concern from a lot of people that there's a lot of people out there with really big hands, and there's a concern that the orbs or the Sense controllers looked a little on the small side. But these look pretty damn big when you put them next to the headset. It gives you a much better sense of scale.
Yeah, they're pretty massive actually. When you consider that these things aren't going to be sticking out, like your typical Oculus controllers or WMR controllers, but instead are going to come back, and the rings are going to pretty much go around your wrist. I mean, they have to be pretty big, and because you like you said, some people have big hands. So yeah, I think these are going to be pretty massive. I think they're going to be kind of like I use a Reverb G2, which has notoriously big rings on it. I think these are going to be around the size of that, but again, inverted instead of move protruding outward. But yeah, man, big, nice looking setup here.
Nice. Anything else jump out at you? Because I mean, obviously.
Yeah, well, I mean, when we were on there last week, someone asked, "Are we going to be able to charge both controllers at the same time?" Those little packages on the bottom right of the picture, those are USB cables. So it looks like, at least with the dev kits, there's 2 of those going out, which would say yes, you're going to be able to charge both at the same time.
Nice. And that cable
if the retail unit gets the same as the dev kits get.
I mean, it would seem like a silly omission, right?
Right.
Obviously you always think like we want to make these things as cheap to manufacture as possible. Like that's why anyone has talked about a pack-in game before. They're like, oh, we'll Call of the Mountain be in the box with the PSVR2 headset. I'm like, no, they got to keep this thing as cheap as possible. So, in my head, I'm like, well, people are constantly shipping items without charging cables or little USB plugs these days because they just expect that you have 1,000 of them. But yeah, it would seem silly to have these 2 controllers that you're always using for the most part simultaneously that are going to drain pretty much at the same rate. You're not going to be like I have 2 DualSense controllers and I just switch back and forth between them. I mean, I guess I'm going to have 4 Sense controllers, but that beyond that being the point, hopefully they do include these wires, these charging cables in the box, because charging them both simultaneously is going to be very important.
Something else that really sticks out to me is just the general heft of the single, obviously attached cable. If this cable weren't hardwired into this headset, it would not be attached in this picture right now. This is picture, by the way, look for context. This is in the guy's car. Like, he literally just got this from the post office, brought it into his car, tore it open. This is what was in the box. So obviously the cable is connected. It's attached. It's hardwired. That's going to be there. But, when we learned that this was a USB cable, essentially, it makes you kind of wonder, is it going to be a little flimsy thing that's going to, tangle and get shorted easily? Obviously, we know Sony wouldn't do that. But now we have visual confirmation. Not only is this a heavy duty cable, but it looks to be pretty long, probably 6-meter cable.
Yeah, and I would say right now, if anybody out there is planning on getting a PSVR2 on launch day, I would say experiment with some pulley systems because a hefty cable can certainly like kind of have a pull to it or whatever. But man, using a pulley system is amazing. The only downside would be like if you have a ceiling fan or something. But besides that, the pulleys I have right now from Kiwi Design are just incredible. They're perfect. And if you get a nice long cable like this, it shouldn't be hard. So if you have it all set up and ready to go before you get your PSVR2 headset, it's going to feel like you don't even have a cable. And that's, again, for the quality of games that we're about to get, I think it's a small price to pay. It's good stuff.
Absolutely.
So, I could ask Wes. I wonder if I can zoom this in even further here. I'm gonna try. That's slightly better. The controller that's closest to the headset, there's a black. Looks like a piece of fabric that's sort of sticking out from it. It's got to be a wrist strap or a knuckle strap or something, right?
Yeah, let me blow this up on my own screen here. That's what it looks like from here. It's kind of difficult to see where it's coming from, but that does look like a an adjustable wrist strap, right? The little white knob there, obviously being the piece that you push up on to tighten the thing down. Um, but I don't know, how would a wrist strap work with this one though. I mean, the thing's already coming over your wrist. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm very adamant that they should do a knuckle strap on this because they've when AJ and I Monday went into much more detail about Horizon Call of the Mountain and some of the the haptic things that you'll be feeling, the adaptive triggers, all of this stuff. And they even mentioned that there's enough tracking to know where your hands are even when they're not on the controller. And so I do feel like these are Horizon especially is the kind of game that you're going to want to be able to play and open your hand completely without dropping the controller. And I've always thought that a knuckle strap that makes sure the controller stays put even when you're not holding the controller in your hand. When you let go, it needs to stay there. And so they would be out of their minds if they just stuck with the simple wrist strap. You open your hand, the controller falls down, your hands in game go, they just dangle in front of you. Why would you want that? You don't want that. You want the controllers to stay put. You want your hands, when you open your hands, to open in the game and the controllers to stay there ready for you when you need to close them again. And so if there's not a knuckle strap here, I say we revolt.
Well, there'll be third party, like Kiwi Design for sure will make a wrist strap for this. And a lot of that sort of thing Sony doesn't really do directly, like these sort of peripheral accessories. They do the big stuff, headphones. Did they even have like an official charging dock? I don't think they did they? For the original Move controllers and stuff?
They did, yeah. And in fact, that's what I'm using for mine still, the PS3 era Move controllers, Move control docks. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe they will. Maybe they will release these kinds of accessories. But whether they do or they don't, someone will. There's actually a far more robust market for VR accessories now than there was when PSVR1 launched.
Yeah.
And there are existing companies out there now that are that's their whole line of business. So I think that there's going to be more stuff in your inbox, Brian, than you're going to even want to deal with. It's an endless stream for me with the Quest accessories, and I don't cover them. People just ask me to. I don't, we don't hardly ever talk about accessories except on a very rare occasion.
Men carrying GameCast says, we are not revolting. I was like, okay, fine. Listen, I tried to start a coup. What can I say? If you don't want to join me, that's fine. It's me against the world, as always. I don't know, man. I'm just super excited. I think it's really cool that, despite the fact that that this developer may have gotten themselves into a little trouble. Hopefully they didn't. Hopefully they caught it and they took it down themselves without Sony going, "Hey guys, you're really screwing up here." Hopefully, they corrected the problem before Sony had to step in. Despite the fact that it kind of came to us from maybe not the greatest, in the greatest way, it is just so cool to see finally something IRL, something that's not Sony's, photoshopped images or whatever that make it all look angelic and crystal clear or whatever. It's good to just see this sitting on somebody's car seat and knowing that retail units are seemingly complete.
Hopefully Sony has a little bit of sympathy because anybody can run afoul of NDA every now and then. I mean, PSVR2 content in development. Mm-hmm. Ring a bell. So yeah, hopefully our friend, he who must not be named here, isn't going to catch too much flack for this.
For sure. All right, man. Well, how do you feel? About doing some PSVR 20 questions?
Now, of course, I feel like I'm probably going to blow it because that's how I always feel. But who knows? I guess we should be asking the Game Cats. Are you guys up to the task? We got it last time, didn't we? We got it, yeah.
I don't know, dude. I don't keep track. It would be really interesting for there to be some kind of Wikipedia page where they document which game it was on which episode, how many questions you got it in, who was the guest host, I would love to see a database of that.
Stats.
But I can't imagine anyone out there having enough free time to even begin to do something like that. Yeah, but I'd like to know my win-loss ratio, or my KD ratio, I guess, right?
It'd be cool if we had some running statistics here on this thing, and like as the show continues to grow and our production values continue to grow with it, maybe one day you'll have a producer running the show for you, and they can put up on the screen little graphics. Brian has won 5 out of the last 6. Like a sports program.
Wow, that would be very cool. Sometime in 2037, maybe. That feels
Right.
feels like about how long it's going to take. I know how long this has taken. I've been doing this for 7 years, and honestly, Wes, not a lot's changed in 7 years from from production value standpoint. That's for sure. Oh my God, why do I have so many windows open? This is no wonder why things break around here all the time. All right, man, you ready to go?
Yeah, let's do it, bro.
I'm going to put 6 minutes up on the clock counter the way that Jeremy likes it. That means Wes and all of you guys out there only have 6 minutes and 20 yes or no questions to figure out what PlayStation VR game I am thinking of. God, I hope you played it. Because if you haven't, well, this is all for naught. All right. Are you ready?
I am ready, sir.
Go.
Does this game make frequent use of analog sticks?
Frequent use of analog sticks? No. Not even infrequent use of analog sticks.
So no analog sticks. All right. So I guess then that.
I feel like you're already trying to get free questions out of me.
No. You have so little faith, Ryan. All right. Yeah. So move controllers. We're assuming move controllers. I mean, obviously there could be exceptions to that, but let's move forward. Assuming these are move controller. This is a move controller title. Brian, is this game based upon an existing known IP?
No, but the answer to that question is kind of funny when you find out what game it is. But no, it's not.
No, so no existing IP here.
No.
Is this game exclusive to PlayStation VR?
No.
Not exclusive to PSVR. Does this game have a flat version, or is it VR only? Well, yes or no questions, right? Does this game have a flat version?
No.
No. So no flat version. This is a VR only title that is cross-platform, not part of a larger franchise, and uses primarily motion controllers, we assume. Is this game is there full locomotion in this game?
Yes, that's 5.
Full locomotion, absolutely. Okay, 5. So move controllers with locomotion. Is this game a shooter?
No.
Not a shooter. Is it a puzzle game?
I wouldn't. It definitely has puzzles. It is not a puzzle game. Yeah. It has puzzles for sure, though.
Not a shooter. Has some puzzles, but maybe not necessarily a puzzle game. Is it horror themed?
No, there's some dark moments, but I wouldn't call it horror themed at all.
There are dark moments.
Yeah.
So I would assume then that this game is narrative based, story driven.
It has quite a bit of story going on. It's not really what I remember from the game, but there's enough of it for sure to say, yeah, there's a narrative.
Is this game cartoony?
No, I would say that this game tries for something a bit more realistic than cartoony. That's 10.
Okay, so we have a realistic game here with some light puzzling, not heavily story driven, but story driven.
I'm going to say that it's more than light puzzling. I just don't want to mislead you here. It's a lot of puzzles going on.
It's a lot of puzzlers. It's a lot of puzzles, but not.
It still doesn't feel like a puzzle game.
Right. It's not there's different kinds of puzzle games. I understand completely what you mean. There's different kinds of puzzle games. This is not a hardcore nuts and bolts puzzle game like a Static or something like that.
Exactly. Yep.
Gotcha.
You've got 2.5 minutes left, and you've only used half your questions.
All right. So let's see here. Would you consider this to be, let's not do that. Is time travel used in this game?
I don't believe so. No.
No. So not Wanderer. Um, there's no shooting. I wouldn't think that this would be like an action-based game. Is there any kind of melee attacks?
Yes. It's melee, and there. You asked if it's a shooter, by the way. You didn't ask if there is shooting.
Oh, I got you.
Right.
So there's okay.
There's,
I got you.
There's
So,
some. There's some. Yeah. There's some. Yeah.
so
There's
there
melee
is some
too.
shooting and there is melee.
Mhm.
All right. So there's an action element here.
Mm-hmm.
This is a good game, Brian.
I enjoyed it thoroughly. Yes.
Hmm. So it's realistic. There's some shooting. There's no time travel, people. Um, Kind of stuck here. Kind of story driven. And I don't know.
Help him out,
It's
cats.
a good. It's a good thought, AJ. Does this take place in like medieval times?
Yeah, I would say this is. Yeah, definitely.
Ah, there we go. Has this developer made other PlayStation VR games?
I mean, only really, really good ones. 15.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, yes, they have.
Is the developer Vitruvius VR?
Developer is Vitruvius VR.
Is this game Shadow Legend, Brian?
This game is Shadow Legend by Vitruvius VR. Came out in 2000. Man, I had such a blast when this came out. So much fun. A lot of exploration. A lot of treasure hunting. A lot of almost like a hidden object game disguised as an action game, just with some puzzles mixed in. What did you think of this, man? Oh,
I think it was very high quality. It seemed like they stopped abruptly. It's like that. It's like they were planning on developing a much larger game, and then for whatever reason, be it time constraints, be it funding, they just said, "All right, let's just put a bow on it and get it out there." And it seemed like about maybe 25 to 30% of a much larger planned game. But what was there was very good, very especially for the time that it came out. Like at the time that it came out, a lot of the stuff that they were doing in this game wasn't being done regularly, especially by independent VR studios.
yeah. Now this was, and especially a huge surprise coming from the team who made Mervils. Usually, when you look at a game like Mervils, and then you see, their next game is very much like the No Man's Sky thing. When you see that Hello Games made Joe Danger, and then they were like, and our next game is this infinite space traveling, blah blah blah, and you're like, no fucking way. There's like 7 people over at Hello Games. They made Joe Danger, like, and so everyone had their expectations up for No Man's Sky, and we're like obviously disappointed. This was sort of the feeling I was getting from that. Was like they made Mervils, and it looks like now they're making Skyrim. And so like in my head I was like, I gotta fucking keep my expectations in check here, and I think they absolutely delivered a great $25 game that lasted I think 4 or 5 hours my first playthrough, and then I had to play another couple hours to get the platinum, and man, I had fun with it.
It's incredible what these indie VR devs are doing from one generation to the next. The improvement that we're seeing, even still, like even studios that had good first efforts are now putting out really really high quality games, and I think it's a sign of good things to come for us as VR gamers.
For sure. I absolutely agree. Wes, before we get out of here, is there anything you can tell me about what's happening over on Virtual Strangers this week?
Well, Brian, I don't know if you heard, but Wandering in Space is coming out tomorrow. Or at least it's scheduled to launch into Steam Early Access.
Nice.
I've had the opportunity to check it out a little bit. I'm going to check it out a little bit more after the show right now, and we're going to talk a little bit about that to kick the show off tonight. And then after that, we're going to switch over to live gameplay mode and finish up our bout with Demio Rise of the Serpent Lord, which we started live in the early hours of this morning. We're going to do the finale live on the show Strangers in the Night tonight. So that's what we got going on, what we've got lined up for this Wes-nesday.
Awesome. Definitely gonna be tuning in for some Wandering in Space because these guys messaged me and they're like, "Hey, we got this game coming out. Awesome. Are there any plans for PSVR2?" And they said, "Yes, absolutely. The PlayStation version is the best version of this game." They're like, "Wow, that's a great thing to hear." So very much looking forward to see what to expect. I know that it's still about halfway through development or so, and so
That's what they say. Yeah.
yeah. So it'll be interesting to kind of see how it is at this point, and then give us a glimpse as to what to expect. Hopefully, early on when it hits PSVR2. All right, you guys. Well, we need to get out of here. I think someone might even be knocking at my door. I can only assume it's the maintenance guy being like, "Has the flooding stopped?" So we should get out of here. But thank you so much for hanging out with me today, Wes. Thank you everybody for hanging out. Thank you to all our Patreon supporters that keep this channel running. Patreon.com/withoutparole.games. Don't forget, guys, I did an AMA and an episode of Immortal Legacy. Why we love PSVR, Immortal Legacy style. That's for the $5 tier. For the $3 tier, don't forget you can get your name on that scroll that scrolls endlessly, and access to voice chat over on Discord, and so yeah, you guys are keeping the channel running, and I really, really appreciate you. Also, shout out to everybody who hung out today, watched the show, tipped during the show, helped Wes. I think that was an AJ doing.
AJ, yeah, 100% AJ on that one.
AJ helped Wes get to Shadow Legend, and of course, everybody, thank you so much for sitting back watching the show. And those of you who don't say a goddamn word, we know you're out there, and we love you just as much. All right, let's do this thing.
Later, guys.
Dude, how ridiculous is that? Like, the developer took down the picture of the PSVR2 headset, and I was just like, we're just gonna plaster it all over the thumbnail. I was like, why even take it down at this point?
Well, you know how it is. They should have known better. Like, once something's out there on the internet, especially something that's as hotly sought after as PSVR2 images.
Yeah.
I mean, it's out there now, man. There's no pulling it back. It is what it is.
It absolutely is, and now we've all seen it. We've all finally seen a real PSVR2. All right, I should probably go check my door. Love you guys.
Meow.